What's up, everybody? And today we are watching something that people have been wanting me to talk about for quite some time. This is Caught on Camera, the US Navy UFO. It is by Found and Explained, as always, right? If you want to watch the video without me waffling over the top about my time in the military and kind of comparing and contrasting, then you can go to the description. It's always the first in the description. If you want to watch the video, I highly recommend that you go over to the original videos, give it a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Okay, I want to caveat this, right, by saying yes, I have a Green Beret. I was in the Royal Marines Commandos, right? I didn't see any UFO stuff in the Royal Marines. That wasn't even something I would think about in the Royal Marines. So I have sometimes people being like, "Oh my God, he was in the military. Maybe you know something." No. I don't know a thing from the military. What I do know is in the past 2-3 years, I've become obsessed with UFOs, and that I do, in my own time as a hobby, read a lot of books about it, including this one right now, which I'm really enjoying. D.W. Pasulka. She was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast. I've got a hair on my chin. Is that on my chin? What's going on here? See that hair? Big old hair on my chin. She was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast. She's got another book called American Cosmic, which I haven't read yet. I've nearly finished this one. It's really, really good. But I found her, not from the Joe Rogan podcast. I found her from a YouTube channel called Jesse Michaels. He makes long-form videos on, the weird and wacky UFO stuff. I highly recommend you check it out. It's some of my favorite videos on YouTube. But yeah, for now, we're going to watch Found and Explained, the US Navy UFO caught on camera. This is going to be interesting. It's a longer video than we usually watch. Let's just have some fun. Let's chat about it and let's see what's going on. I know this is more of a fun video than my usual military ones. So, yeah, let's enjoy it. Let's have a civil discussion about UFOs, right? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps with that mysterious YouTube algorithm. And other than that, let's shut up. Let's pull this up and let's have a cheeky peek. Holy, that's loud.
UFOs in broad daylight. In 2017, the New York Times released not one, but 3 short videos taken by US Navy pilots showing footage of crafts that are impossible to exist.
If you remember, back when they came out and my YouTube channel was first taking off, I actually watched them videos and did a reaction to them videos a long time ago. You can search for it. The thumbnail's got me with a tinfoil hat on. Go and search for it. It's a great video. But yeah, if you want my thoughts on them specific videos, go watch that.
Flying faster and harder than any man-made object. They were called Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAPs as the media quickly dubbed them.
Yeah, so that's the new word for UFOs, isn't it? UAPs.
The focus of this video will be on the first of these filmed encounters, which took place in 2004 and was observed by the pilots from the aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz. An encounter with a craft that was oblong and white in shape, akin to a giant pill or a Tic Tac breath mint.
I definitely think that there is... Let's take the mysterious UFO fun stuff and aliens out of the picture for a second, and let's just talk about the fact that there is something unidentified in US military airspace. That is a huge red flag in general. The problem is, through watching a bunch of these videos, is a lot of these pilots said that this happened all the time, that this was a common occurrence. And they didn't want to say it because in that kind of field, which is a very high cognitive field, if you have anything going on, if you've got a slight bit of depression or whatever, you've got to report that stuff. So if you're coming out and you're like, I thought I saw something that looked like a UFO, that's going to get flagged instantly and you could easily lose your job. So no one wanted to come out and say it until it eventually started to leak, and then more and more people have been like, oh, yeah, by the way, we've seen it quite a lot. So just put that out there.
Which is why this has become known as the Tic Tac UFO. So what happened out there over the lonely Pacific Ocean in November of 2004? And why is it so darn terrifying?
I've never watched a video by Found and Explained, never. So this is the first time we're going to do it together. Let's hope that these are good videos. And like I said, go over to the original video. Link will be at the top of the description, as always.
America's pride of the US Navy, the nuclear-powered USS Nimitz, was operating a training exercise off the coast of Mexico in winter of 2004. The Nimitz was ordinarily docked at the US Navy base in San Diego, so these maneuvers in the Pacific Ocean were considered pretty much in its own backyard. Its strike group also included the smaller missile cruiser, the USS Princeton, and it's this smaller cruiser that our story begins today. The state-of-the-art ship was testing a new, highly advanced radar, which was picking up several mysterious objects.
So this was one of the first things that people, when they're trying to debunk it, which is fine, trying to debunk it as best you can. It's very important that you attempt these things, right? Is that they were like, it's new radar system, so there might be certain things we don't know about it, and we're not really sure how it's working. So it could be just anomalies on the radar itself, but the story gets a bit weirder.
For several days. In fact, the Princeton's radar had tracked well over 100 of these mysterious objects over the course of a week. At first, they thought that their state-of-the-art radar system was bugging out, like static on an untuned radio. But after calibrating the system and even restarting it, these objects appeared even more accurate. And
That's
the picture
weird.
it painted was nothing short of chaos. One of the ship's radar operators would later
That guy's got a green beret on. I know this is like B-roll footage kind of thing, but Jesus Christ, me book. He's got a green beret on. The Royal Marines Commando right there. Obviously, he's not a real Royal Marines Commando. He's probably just an actor. In fact, the way that he's wearing that beret, I would say he's definitely an actor. But still, watch him not be an actor now and he's just wearing the beret like an absolute idiot.
stated in an interview that watching the objects on the radar display was like watching snow falling from the sky.
Whoa.
The radar operators couldn't believe what they were watching. Objects that seemed to fly at altitudes greater than 80,000 feet, which was far higher than what commercial or even military jets typically operate at. Even more disconcerting, what these objects seemed to drop with an astonishing speed into far lower and busier airspace, from practically orbit to sea level in less than a minute.
That's
They were
pretty crazy.
Too high to be birds, too slow to be conventional aircraft, and were not traveling on any established flight path. By that morning on the 14th, it was decided on the Princeton that these unidentified objects had to be somehow intercepted and, if possible, stopped. The carrier group had 2 fighter jets already performing training missions in the area, and it was thought that they would be their best bet at witnessing whatever the heck these objects were.
Just want to say, I really like the way they've done the visuals for this video already, and his storytelling's really good so far. I like the way they're presenting this a lot. I think I'm going to really enjoy this video and potentially watch more if you guys want.
They were ordered to stop their training and immediately proceed to the new coordinates, what the operations officer on board the Princeton called a real-world task. Fighter jet pilots Alex Dietrich and her then commanding officer David Fravor.
So he's a guy that's been on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was sat in front of a hearing with David Grush and some other people talking about UFOs in the military. So David Fraser has been Fravor has been a big advocate for talking about this, which is good, which is really good. And he's got guts for doing that, by the way. He's got a lot of guts to do that.
Were 2 pilots tasked to investigate the mysterious radar contacts. Upon approaching the designated area where the radar contact had been located, they first noticed an unusual churning of the ocean's surface, a foaming mass that looked like a large aircraft, like the size of a Boeing 737, submerged under the water.
This is another thing that seems to be a common occurrence, is the ability for these weird anomalies to go underwater. Now, I did read a good theory that the reason let's go for the craziness that they are UFOs and they're aliens, right? And they've come from another planet, which is only one theory out of many of like ultra-dimensional theories and or extraterrestrial theories and stuff like that. So let's pretend they've come from another planet and they're aliens, right? The Bobby Basic story. Now, one of the best atmospheres for them to go in is the water, because being in water would be consistent no matter where you are. You know you know that the water density and all that lot is going to be the same. Whereas if you're in the air, you don't know what the air quality is going to be like. You don't know because it'll change quite a lot. You don't know what chemical compounds are in the air. Whereas when you're in the water, it's a lot different. It's a lot more consistent across the board. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a better place to be for them. Tinfoil hat on, if you get what I'm saying.
But it was what they witnessed next that was even more unsettling. The pilots then saw what they described as a smooth, white oblong object that looked like a giant tic-tac skimming about 50 meters or 164 feet above the waves and flying at what looked like a very high speed, erratically and changing directions without any care to physics. At first they thought it was a helicopter, but the lack of rotors and sheer bone-crushing G-forces exhibited ruled that out.
That's crazy,
In
innit?
his jet, David Fravor attempted to engage with the object. He began a long spiral to get closer to the churning water surface, but seemingly the object stopped its movements and began an opposite helix upwards motion, almost mirroring the fighter jet. Whatever it was, it knew he was there.
That's really weird, isn't it? So obviously, the first thing you want to do is start talking about aliens, right? Of course, you want to spot. You want it to be aliens. We all want it to be aliens, but we also have to take a step back and realize that there are countries that are very good with technology that are not necessarily our allies, i.e., mostly China, right? And so the reason these pilots were like, we need to check this out is obviously we don't want anyone in the airspace or whatever. But if they see something weird like this, it's close to America and it's acting unusual. And it's something that these pilots, which by the way, they get the best technology, they get the best aircraft technology, they don't know what it is. And so if it is China or if it is another country, we need to figure that out as soon as possible for the safety of US citizens. Do you get what I'm saying? So even if you take out the whole crazy alien stuff, which is really fun to think about, and it could be an option, right? You never know. The reality is, no matter where it comes from, we need to keep the airspace clear and safe for the safety of civilians. Does that make sense?
Now closer, the craft seemed to lack what the pilots would later recall as any visible flight control surfaces or means of propulsion, and it was seen as least big as the F-18. Fravor, who was a decorated pilot instructor and a 16-year veteran of the Navy's famous Top Gun program for fighter pilots,
Wow.
was stunned by what he saw. Upon trying to get closer, the object accelerated to a hypersonic velocity and vanished over the horizon,
It just goes to show that he has got the credentials.
leaving the water and the sky as calm as a winter afternoon. There's something out there that was better than our aeroplane, Fravor later said. I don't know who's building it, who's got the technology, who's got the brains. With eyewitness accounts confirming something strange was out there in the Pacific that day, the military decided to equip all the next aircraft to take off with the best cameras the US taxpayers could buy, and with a special request. Hunting season was open.
Yeah, I get they need to take some data.
On
They
the
need
next
to get
mission,
data of
another
it.
FA-18 pilot, Chad Underwood, managed to get a radar ping 20 miles away. He couldn't see anything, but he was able to lock onto the target with his advanced targeting forward-looking infrared camera, a high-tech camera that can see way beyond the sight of a human. It was this footage that would be famously designated as FLIR-1.
So this footage getting leaked, I feel like has really turned the table for a lot of the UFO community, and it's now become almost normal for people to be like, yeah, I believe in UFOs. It's almost become so normal that some people just don't really care, which is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, cool, UFOs. I don't really care. I still got to go to work tomorrow, which I get, but for me personally, I'm a big believer in wanting to. If you can understand more about the universe, you'll understand more about yourself. And so I'm someone who loves to ponder on this stuff, loves to have to think about it. Me and my wife love having discussions about it, whether we believe in it or not. I mean, you can look at some of my videos. I've had some weird stuff happen to me in the past, but it's always been an interest of mine. Not for the fact that I want to know if aliens are real, but the fact that if they are real, that poses more questions and more understanding about our place in the universe and what we're doing in general. So for this one video to get leaked, and then it had a domino effect where more stuff happened. David Grush eventually came out. There's a bunch of crazy stuff that's happening where it's all coming to the surface, and now they're talking about disclosure and stuff. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
The object being filmed was shown to be a wingless, highly mobile, white and oblong shaped. It was approximately 20 to 25 feet or 7.6 meters in length, with no visible markings on it and no glass windows or any other portals into the craft visible from any angle. It was moving so fast not to create a sonic boom, and apparently no heat trail.
Wow.
Normally you would see engines emitting a heat plume. This object was not doing that. The video shows a source of heat, but the normal signatures of an exhaust plume were not there. There was no sign of propulsion. Looking at the footage after a brief period of time, either the camera loses track of the object or the object itself accelerates to well over Mach 6 and vanishes 100 kilometers over the horizon instantly, appearing.
That's madness. Absolute madness, isn't it? This technology could also be private companies in the US. We know that the big kind of there's quite a lot of companies that are integrated into the military industrial complex, right? The big one being Lockheed Martin, which is the one that everyone's pretty sure David Grush is talking about when he says that they've got downed UFOs, UAPs, and that they're trying to reverse engineer them so that they can make their own stuff with this technology, which makes complete sense, right? That's what you would do. And so it could be one of them companies flying something that we've never seen before, right? Whether or not they've got UFOs or not is a whole nother question. I think they do, but I think that it just shows that we don't know enough about what this is before we can make a full assumption that it is UFO aliens. We all just want it to be. I think it's Lockheed Martin. I think Lockheed Martin have got some of these guys sat in a warehouse somewhere in some sort of bunker, experimenting on them, and I want to know what's going on.
To slide casually and somewhat aloofly away. While this event is considered shocking, it's the lack of response from the officers that give it a bit more of a conspiracy turn. Upon returning with the footage, the military officers on board the carrier group seemed to not be fussed at all by the event, leading many to imagine that they knew what these objects were of some high-tech drone variety.
They could have, but I think it's more pressure of them not to seem like crazy people. And that's what it is.
The footage was shared amongst the crew until unknown persons arrived, overriding the Admiralty and insisting that they have all the footage, the hard drives wiped, and no one to talk about it ever again.
I did not know that.
Only because one crewman copied the footage to a disc and hid it away that we ever saw the light of day.
That's crazy, innit? Absolutely
As with
crazy.
any alleged conspiracy or cover-up, there are always those who rush in to debunk it. One such debunker is Mick West, a former video game designer and well-known skeptic of all things paranormal. In West's opinion, the images of the Tic Tac UFO are what happens when filming a fighter jet flying away at high speed. The resulting elongated shape that looks eerily like a giant Tic Tac is merely the glare on the lens of the infrared camera. West contends that what looks like a UFO is nothing more than light in motion creating optical distortion. He also...
Now, this is a possibility, right? We don't really know this. I think that a lot of people coming to debunk it is a very important aspect. I think it is really important. You've got that VFX YouTube channel, is it Corridor Crew, I think it's called, or something like that, where they watch TV shows and they talk about how the animations work because they're experts in it. But they've also done a couple recently where they get viral UFO videos that people are like, oh my God, look at this UFO video. And they debunk it and they say, look, it was just using this process and we can do it ourselves. And I think that is incredibly important. I think that for a long time, the UFO community has been dubbed as crazy people, right? And so the more serious that these people who believe in UFOs can take themselves and be like, no, we're going to sieve through a lot of this shit and only get the stuff that we can't figure out. I think that gives more credibility to them rather than just throwing anything at the wall until it sticks. Does that make sense? I think it paves the way for people to be a bit more open-minded while also not seeming like conspiracy theorist people, right?
So says that the information shown on the screen of the video, such as the camera zoom level, indicates that the sweeping movements were made by the camera itself, not the so-called mystery. West further points out that the camera itself would be moving at a very high speed. This speed, together with a high zoom rate, would reflect what is known as the parallax effect, in which the relationship and apparent speed of an object and its background change, sometimes very dramatically, depending on the angle being viewed. Could these objects simply be the result of lights and a camera error? But
My only thing with that is that they're getting it on the radar, though.
what about the radar pings and the eyewitness accounts? Eyewitnesses, mind you,
Psychic.
from some of history's best and most experienced pilots. In the midst of all of this, there is one pesky question that needs answering. How is it that the United States military saw fit to release this video after so many decades of constant denials regarding UFOs?
That's a whole nother conversation of disclosure and where people think that this stuff being leaked is the US government trying to slowly drip feed it us so that when they do eventually say that they are real, it's not a shock because we've got so much evidence that it almost has confirmed itself. I think that's a big theory right now, that it's not so much that the president's going to have a speech and be like, just so you know, we know that there's aliens. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be drip fed so slowly that there won't be a defining moment where we're like, oh my God, aliens are real, because it'll be slowly like become normal. So the first thing is a tic tac. The next thing is the US has got some sort of secret program. The next thing is, oh, look at this technology we're using. It might have come from somewhere else, but we need to figure that out. Next thing is, you know what I mean? Like it slowly drips to you. Great video so far.
The simple answer is that the military never intended for the 2004 video of the Tic Tac UFO to go public.
You'd think so.
It was released by mistake. It so happens that the UFO research group to the STARS Academy of Arts and Science had...
That is the one that was founded by Tom DeLonge from Blink-182. He's got a couple books. I haven't read them. If anyone's read them, let me know what they're like.
Made a Freedom of Information Act or FOIA request. These requests for classified information are routinely denied by the US military on the pretext of that old chestnut, national security, but with a simple, nothing to see here stance. Not this time. The Freedom of Information request was granted due to a series of unintentional blunders by the military worthy of a movie caper by the Coen brothers. The military was forced to admit their knowledge of these videos.
That's pretty crazy, that, isn't it? Tom DeLonge, Blink-182, managed to pull this off. Pretty amazing.
A spokesperson confirmed that the leaked footage by the crew member was authentic, which was then reported by the Washington Post, leading the US Navy to quickly summarize and reveal everything on the table.
Which is crazy because then it brought the pilot forward and he was on the Joe Rogan podcast and everything. That's crazy, isn't it?
Interestingly, insiders from the Navy have confirmed that the actual video is much longer, with many more details of the unidentified craft that became known as the Tic Tac UFO more visible.
Whoa.
These military insiders claim that the longer video clearly shows an airborne vehicle that defies the laws of physics with great ease.
Wow.
The existence of the longer video was confirmed by Chad Underwood himself in 2019, who remarked that the footage released into the public domain was merely a little video cut of what he originally filmed.
That's crazy. I want to know where the original film is. So bad.
And this would not be the only video released by the US military, but another two from an incident off the coast of Florida years later. But perhaps that's another video for another day, so subscribe if you want to see that one. Obviously, after this event occurred, many other media publications tried to get their hands on more footage or more information. However, all the follow-up Freedom of Information requests were denied, claiming that it would cause exceptional grave damage.
That already shows that they're hiding something. Isn't that crazy? They ask for this information and they're not getting it, which in turn just shows that they're hiding something.
To the national security of the United States. Once again, the US military has fallen behind on that old chestnut.
Yeah.
Be as it may be, the object that Alex Dietrichs and David Fravor saw on that November day in 2004 and what Chad Underwood filmed remains what the United States military insists on calling unidentified. That single word has no doubt opened up a Pandora's box that will probably never close.
Yeah.
And speaking of never closing, if you want constant updates from Found and Explained, then why don't you follow us on all of the social medias that I'm now putting up on the video. But if you want to do your own freedom of information request on my channel, then become a Patreon or a channel member.
All right, I'll leave it there. Great video by Found and Explained. Definitely go over there and check the videos out. I'm going to click on their YouTube channel right now and just see what other stuff they've got. It looks like it's a lot of, you know, there's a bit of UFO stuff on there. Bit of like strange military stuff on there. It looks like a really cool channel. I'm going to check it out. If you want to watch more videos by them, let me know in the comments section. I'll definitely do that, all right? Really enjoyed it. It will be in the description if you want to watch it without me waffling over the top of it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on this video as well. Let me know what you think. Do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe they come from another space and time and dimension? Or do you think they've just come from another planet? Or do you think they've been here all along? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I love this crazy video that's different than what we usually do. I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.